Okay, so in this lesson, we're going to talk about writing equation of lines, continue with the idea of equation of lines, but in particular, we're going to discuss horizontal and vertical lines. All right, and so direction is going to say something as the following. Find the equation of a line with the given conditions. All right, so for example, suppose you want to find the equation of a horizontal line that contains the point, and let's say contains the point -1, 7. Contains the point -1, 7. Now, to kind of understand what the equation should be, let's look at the graph of this. So if I draw the graph of, or if I plot this point -1, 7, so here's -1, 7. So -1, 7 is right here. There's -1, 7. And I want to find the equation of the horizontal line that passes through this point. So if I draw this horizontal line that goes to this point, here's my horizontal line. All right, now remember when we discussed the graph of horizontal lines in the past, if you look at every point on this line, every point, you're going to notice that the y-coordinate is the same. So in every point, the y-coordinate is 7. Whatever the x-coordinate is, the y-coordinate is 7. And so remember what that means. That means that y is always equal to 7. Y always equals to 7. And so the equation of that line would be y equals 7. All right, so in number 1, to find the equation of the horizontal line that passes to this point, remember we're talking about horizontal and vertical here. So horizontal, you're going to look at the y-coordinates. So horizontal means, remember, and it sometimes helps in your mind to have this graph. So y is always going to be 7. So that means, so y equals 7 is the answer. Okay, number 2, suppose we had a vertical line that passes through. So sometimes we'll use the word contain, sometimes we'll use a word that passes through. All right, that passes through the point. And let's say the point this time is -3, -6. So -3, -6. So again, I'm going to use the same graph. I'm going the same coordinate plane. I'm going to plot the point. And we said it was -3, -6. So here's the point -3, -6 right here. Okay, and then I'm going to draw the vertical line that goes through this point. So here's my vertical line. All right, now we did graph vertical lines in a previous lesson, and remember how we discussed that. So if you look at every point on this vertical line, every point, you're going to notice that the x-coordinate is always going to be -3. So -3, -3, no matter what y is, the x-coordinate is always going to be -3. And so remember we discussed this in a previous lesson. When we discussed it, that means that x here, is always going to be -3. That's what that means. So remember, when we discussed graphing vertical lines, it was the y variable wasn't there. It was always x equal a number. Same thing for horizontal lines. It was always y equal a number. So a vertical line, when you graph a vertical line, remember the x-coordinate is always going to be the same. So x always equals -3. So there's your equation. That's what this says. X always has to equal -3. So in this one, you're going to say x equal -3. All right, number 3. Suppose this time you had the slope is 0. So suppose you're told that the slope of this line is 0 and it contains the point. Let's say it was 2, 7. 2, 7. Contains the point 2, 7. All right, now, so I'm going to go ahead and plot the point 2, 7. So here's the point 2, 7. So 2, 7's in the first quadrant. Now let's talk about what it means for the slope to be 0. So remember, the slope is 0, and the slope is 0, that implies you're talking about a horizontal line. So remember, all horizontal lines have slope 0. So since I'm talking about a horizontal line, that goes back to something like number 1. So if I draw a horizontal line going through this point, again, what we discussed the fact that no matter where I am on this horizontal line, the y-coordinate is always going to be 7 in this case. 7, 7, so on. So y equals 7. Alright, now I didn't mean it to be the same as this one, but it is. So the same answer. The point's different, but the y-coordinates were the same, so that's why you get the same answer. So if I had said, number 4, if I had said the slope is 0, and again it passes through the point, let's say negative 1, 5. Well, let's make it negative 2, 5. Negative 2, 5. And so if I plot the point, negative 2, 5, which is right here, and remember, slope 0 means you're dealing with a horizontal line. And I'm trying to find the equation of this horizontal line. So if I draw a horizontal line, and again, you don't have to draw this, but in your mind it does help to have this diagram. So again, that means that no matter what point you use on this horizontal line, that means that the y-coordinate, no matter where you are, the y-coordinate will always be 5. That's what that means. The y-coordinate always equals 5. So that means that y has to equal 5. So there's the equation of that line. Y equal 5. Okay, number 5. Alright, suppose this time you're looking at a line that has undefined slope. Okay, undefined slope. And it contains the point. And let's say the point is 5, negative 6. 5, negative 6. So if I plot the point 5, negative 6, so if I plot the point 5, negative 6, here's the point right here. Remember, undefined slope, if a line has undefined slope, it means you're dealing with a vertical line. So remember, slope 0 is a horizontal line, and then undefined slope is a vertical line. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is draw the vertical line going through this point. And again, in the previous lesson, we talked about vertical lines. When we graphed vertical lines, we noticed that the x-coordinate was always the same. So notice the x-coordinate in every case is 5. 5, 5, 5, and so on. So what that meant, no matter what y was, x was always equal 5. So that's what this means. X always equals 5. So there's your equation. X has to equal 5. So whenever you're dealing with a horizontal line, you're going to look at your y coordinate. Whenever you're dealing with a vertical line, like here, you're going to look at your x coordinate. But it helps when doing this kind of situation, when involving this kind of situation where you're talking about horizontal vertical, it helps in your mind to have a graph drawn in your mind. Alright, now number 6, suppose that the slope is 0 and it contains the point, and let's say the point was negative 3, 0. Negative 3, 0. So again, I'm going to plot the point. Negative 3, 0 is right here. It's on the x-axis. And I'm going to draw, and remember we're talking about slope 0. So remember, slope 0 means that you're dealing with a horizontal line. And so if I draw a horizontal line, right here, you're going to notice that the y-coordinate in each case is 0. Okay, so that means that y always has to equal 0, which happens to be the x-axis. So y always has to equal 0. So there's your equation. Y has to equal 0. So remember, we always said when you're dealing with a horizontal line, you're going to use the y-coordinate, and when you're dealing with a vertical line, you're going to use the x-coordinate. And let's see. All right. And so let's suppose you have a undefined slope, a line with undefined slope, containing the point, and let's say this time is 0, 6, 0, 6. So if I look at that point, 0, 6, so 0, 6 on the y-axis, and remember I'm dealing with undefined slopes. Undefined slopes mean that you have a vertical line. That's what that means. And so if I draw this vertical line, remember dealing with a vertical line, so if I draw this vertical line, no matter what point I'm looking at, my x-coordinate is always 0. No matter what y is. I'm just going to put x here. No matter what y is, your x-coordinate is always equal 0. So this means that this line that I've drawn, this vertical line, which happens to be the y-axis, is going to be x equals 0. Alright, okay, so that should take care of this lesson where we're finding the equations of lines, whether there's vertical lines or undefined slope, horizontal lines or slope is 0, that passes through a certain point. So that was the intent of this lesson. Alright, so that takes care of this lesson.